I wanted to talk about the Neptunes recording studios that they had in Virginia Beach. And I, after I knew Serban, and Serban connected me with people down there, and then he connected me with Chad Hugo. I went to the studio that they had bought. It was called Master Sound, and it was on an industrial road. So it was a small industrial road in Virginia Beach, and it was just kind of nondescript, low ceilings. I found a link of the Neptunes working with Justin Timberlake at the studio, and they had like an Amec Angela, and they had not top quality equipment, and it wasn't the best looking studio, but it was a laboratory for them for doing work. The other interesting thing about this, if you walked out of their studio and just looked down the street, it was a cul-de-sac, and there was this beautiful building, and it looked like something out of LA, a big white, I think it was white, and that was Timberland Studio. So I mean, you could literally throw a rock and hit his studio, and it was right down the street. His studio is gorgeous inside. I never was inside there, but he had put it up for sale, and I saw some pictures of it. He eventually sold it and moved away from Virginia Beach, but Master Sound was just right down the street. So that was our first studio that they had. And then they bought this other studio called Windmark Studios. And I think they renamed it Hovercraft Studios, but I don't know if that was official, but it was spray painted on the walls. And the Windmark is big, beautiful. I think it was on 2 acres, big freestanding building, concrete block. They had a huge A room with an SSL in it. They had an SSL in their B room. The upstairs was all done in like cedar wood. It was gorgeous. I'll try to post some pictures of that. But it was just a gorgeous studio, and they bought that. And when they bought that, they decided to sell Master Sound. So they moved everything from Master Sound into Windmark. And Windmark had this huge garage area in the back. So it was just jam-packed with stuff. And they had called me up and they said, can you help us out here? Because we have way too much gear and we're never going to use all this stuff. And a lot of it was just junk that just didn't work. But I went down, I made one trip down there, and I filled up a couple, what is those, pod containers. I did it all by myself. I did a whole story about that. I drank a bunch of Crunk, not knowing it was an energy drink, and it kept me up for 2 days. But I did it all by myself, loaded all those containers with their Studer machines and their 3324s and all kind of stuff that they had sitting in the place, and had it shipped back to my office, and then sold it off. But like I said, a lot of it was junk and just didn't work. So, but I got rid of all that stuff, and then they took over Windmark Studios, and they were working out of there. Now, Windmark Studios, Serban used to be in the B room there. That they had an SSL, I think it was a G series in there, and when the Neptunes took it over, the B room turned into Chad's room. He took the SSL out. I arranged for Vintage King to buy it. I did him a favor and told him about the console, and they were real happy about it. And then we put a D-Control in there, and I have pictures of that. I think in another story. So we then we put the big Questeds in there. So everything was going as planned. But at a certain point, I think as the Neptunes were getting bigger and bigger, they weren't using the place, and they start not being there at all. And when they decided that it just wasn't getting used, and it was just kind of falling into disrepair, they decided to just sell the building and sell all the contents in it. And the one thing I would say is, when you sell this building, and I'll post some pictures, it's just a white building, had no sign on it at all. The only way you would know it was the Neptunes is they parked their tour bus in the front of the place, and in their tour bus they had a studio in the back of that. They had Genelec 1038s in the back there. I mean, it sounded pretty good in that tour bus. But once they decided they were going to sell the place, Serbin was interested in the studio, and I remember going down with Serbin and John Haynes to look at the place, and they were like, "Yeah, this could work." Serbin was doing enough business that he could keep all the rooms going, and I think he was branching out into production too. So what killed that deal though is Serbin couldn't get a straight answer out of them of what they wanted for the building. It just went back and forth and back and forth, and between the managers and Serbin, and I think at a certain point Serbin just said, "You know what, this is not making any sense anymore, so I'll just let it be." But what happened to the building? Uh, it just, like I said, went into disrepair. They sold everything off, so that whole big beautiful studio that was in there was all gone, and that's what happened with the Neptune studio. So I think Pharrell went down to Miami and was working out of there, and because he had his own engineer, Drew, what was his name? Drew Coleman was Pharrell's engineer. So Drew lived in Virginia Beach, and he would fly wherever Pharrell was, and work on the stuff. And I think Chad was going to other places too, so they weren't using the place. So I'll post as many pictures as I can, but that's kind of the story. And I don't know if too many people know all that happened there. I don't know what happened with Master Sound, but it wasn't much of a studio to begin with. The other place was gorgeous. It just, they didn't use it, fell apart. I mean, I saw like vines growing through the concrete, and they were breaking up. I mean, it was really, really in bad shape, and that needed to get taken care of, and nobody did. So there you go.